Welcome back to another episode. Today's topic is rules of engagement. So when I think about the road of wealth, I think about rules of engagement. What do the wealthy do that other folks may not do or may not do as well? And today's word of the day is guard. Guard. So if you remember the wealth vocabulary, I preferred guard as opposed to secure. And the reason for that is when you're told something is secure, you're told by someone else, oh, your investment's secure. Your livelihood is secure. Your job is secure. Well, security is more of a figment of imagination than anything else because you actually have to play an active role in protecting what is important to you. So with guard, you're actually taking an active position. And so in taking that active position, you have to think about what you're guarding against. What are the threats that could impact you or your livelihood? So the first one that usually pops in most head is theft. So what if someone takes this away from me? What if some organization or individual takes what I worked so hard to create? Some folks sometimes think this is a job. It could be. But is there such thing as a secure job? I think this day and age, everyone sees that no, that's not the case. You have to essentially fend for yourself and make sure that you're protecting what's important to you. So don't think a job is essentially something that can't be taken away from you, but there are things you are in control of, and you need to make sure you identify what those things are. So as far as the threat or the theft of something being taken away, what measures can you put in place to protect yourself from that happening? And again, this is something that you're going to be in direct control over. Another idea to think about is loss. So you guard against loss. That one's a no-brainer. If you're driving your vehicle, and if there's an accident that happens and all of a sudden you lose the value of your car, who's going to reimburse you for that? It's going to be insurance companies if you have insurance. So think about what types of things you can put in place to make sure that you're guarding what you've worked so hard for. Another topic, litigation. So if you ever had a lawsuit that was put against you, how are you protecting yourself? Are you protecting your assets, the things that you actually have? Is that something that could be stripped or taken away from you? So put a plan in place for that. Same idea is if you have a home and you have a mortgage on that or a loan against something that you own, what is the chance or how can you actually guard against that? The best way to do that is make sure you have a plan to make sure that those payments are made. And that's where reserves become really important to make sure you have enough money put aside to be able to pay those things month to month. And again, at this point, don't worry about paying things off as much as you're making the payments to make sure that you can survive during the drought or during tough times. After that, we have inflation. So inflation is a good one because how do you protect your money that's just sitting there? Now, you may not want to throw it into any type of investment, but if you really think about it, there's a lot of money that's being put into circulation. So if you were thinking about what you have and what your purchasing power was, if all of a sudden, do you think your purchasing power would go up or do you think it would go down? So think about how to protect your money against inflation. After that, you have taxes. Now, most folks may not necessarily think about taxes and how to save money on taxes, but how you actually choose to bring your income in can incredibly impact the bottom line. If you could remove taxes altogether, how would you sit? Where would you be? And there are ways to do that. You just don't hear it from everyone. But there are folks out there that have some really good messaging and some good techniques around that so that you can actually make sure whatever you bring in, you actually keep. If you have any questions about that, definitely let me know. You have illness. How are you protecting yourself or guarding against illness? And we talked about that on a previous day as far as thinking about, in the pandemic, when things multiply, protect yourself with PPE and social distancing. And then last but not least, I had negligence and incompetence. So all that essentially says is when you're guarding what you have, what are the threats to you? What are the threats to what you've worked for? What are the threats to what your goals are in regards to relationships, to your wealth, to your health, and to your passion and fulfillment. You have to protect against your interests. So you have to guard. You have to make sure you stay on guard. All right? So, can't wait to talk to you about the next wealth vocabulary word, which we will be hitting tomorrow. Hope to catch you then. Bye.